Okay, so this video will help you understand the historical thinking skill called cause and effect. So cause and effect, I think, can get a little bit confusing for students because sometimes students actually interchange cause and effect. And when they're using the word cause, they're actually talking about effects or vice versa. And so what I want to do to start with is, first I want to start with defining what a cause is and what an effect is. And so what I'm going to do on my screen here is I am going to start with cause, and I am just going to circle it, and out to the side I'm going to write some synonyms. And what I would suggest you doing is I would suggest you doing the same thing. So if you want to pause this video and make a chart just like I have, and then you can follow along and do the same thing that I'm doing so that you have this as a resource. So I'm going to just define cause on the side here. Causes usually, and almost always when we're talking about history, causes come at the start. So these are things that happen before the event. So our event on this chart here, our event is right here in the center. So a cause is something that happens before the event. So it's something that leads up to. So when we're talking about westward expansion, a cause is something that happens before westward expansion, before people move west. So causes are at the start, they are before, they are things that happen, that occur and make the event progress or I'm going to use the word occur again, but a cause is something that happens at the start or before. I like to use the word trigger too because I think that's a good analogy. If we think of something that triggers, the cause triggers the event. And so especially with our example of westward expansion, we need to think of things that happen before westward expansion. What triggers westward expansion? What makes it happen? So we need to think of things that are not the settlement of the West. Because if we're going to I'll go ahead and put westward expansion here. Westward expansion is the settlement of the West. So we need to think of something that caused settlement of the West, started settlement of the West, triggered settlement of the West. And so we need to think of things that made people want to go west, motivated people to go west. And so what we'll be doing is we'll be putting things that happened before westward expansion here in these boxes that made people want to go west. And so when you are working on your partial credit retake, you need to be thinking of things that happened before westward expansion. What made someone want to go west? And so our event, like I said, is right here in the center, westward expansion. So you should come up with some reasons. And if you have this on your resource page, I would go ahead, if you are taking notes right now, I'd go ahead and pause. And I would think of what are 4 things that made settlers want to go west, or encouraged them to go west, or influenced them to go west. What made them go out there? Okay, so I'd pause it and do that. When you're ready, go ahead and replay. So our next step is effect. A lot of times students get a little mixed up because they say that an effect of westward expansion was people settling the West. But our issue is effects happen after the event. So our event is settlement of the West. So we're looking for things that happen after settlement of the West because people went west. So if you're doing your resource page kind of like I am and you want to define the word effect, I'm going to go ahead and put some words out here that might help you. Effects are results, and we are talking about after settlement of the West, after people go west. What happened because people went west? So I'm going to put after. I'm also going to put the word impact. I'm also going to put the word consequence. So these are things that happen after the West has been settled. So because the West has been settled, what happened because the settlement of the West? What were some results of people who moved west and settled the West? What happened because that happened, that occurred? And so what you're going to do in your page is you're going to think of 4 things that happened because people went west. So because settlers settled and set up land claims, what happened because they went west or after they went west? Or what was a consequence? What happened after that? Since they settled the West, what were some results of settlers going west and settling that land? What were some results of that or some impacts of that? So I want you to kind of think through that, and I think these terms over here will help you when you're thinking about causes and effects. I also think if you imagine something like your event in the middle, and your event is occurring in the middle, and you're looking for things that come before and things that come after, that might really help you, because settlement of the West is our event. What is causing, what is triggering people to settle the West, what is making them want to go west, and then we're looking for effects. What happens after the West has been settled? What were the consequences of the West being settled? And so hopefully that will kind of get your mind going on cause and effect.